世界をつなごう
Adam Curry, Podfather, Texas, USA.
On May 7th, 1999, you had your website running on a Cube 2 from Cobalt Networks with a 250 MHz 64-bit processor and a 10 GB hard disk. Is this correct?
Yes.
I prefer my frikandel speciaal with mayonnaise, onions and curry instead of ketchup.
Yes.
Dave Weiner is an American software developer, entrepreneur, and writer. He made an enormous contribution to scripting and podcasting with his work on the RSS feed. In 2001, he wrote a blog post about the Internet 3.0 and said, "How will money flow in version 3.0? A bank implemented in software. Internet 2.0 brought us online car purchases, eBay, bill paying, and banking. Those were profound changes. Version 3.0 will refine this by giving us better tools for working with the new power." Was he talking about a peer-to-peer electronic cash system like Bitcoin?
No.
I'll move back to the Netherlands one day.
No.
I can imagine that you miss a few things when you look back on your time in the Netherlands. Is cycling through Amsterdam one of them?
No.
Are boosts better than likes?
Yes.
I vape more now than I used to smoke.
Yes. Yes.
The conversation with Steve Jobs is the most inspiring I've ever had.
Yes.
I always open the door for a lady.
Yes.
Are you Satoshi Nakamoto?
No.
Welcome to the Connected World Weekly Podcast. I'm Edward.
And I'm Stef. We are ready to take you with us into the beautiful world of the Lightning Network.
Enjoy the ride. This is episode 29 of Connected World. Stef, how are you, mate?
I'm doing fine, Edward. How are you, my friend?
I'm great.
Good.
Yeah, we had a busy weekend again, of course, like all weekends, but I had 3 parties, so that was quite a thing. Yeah, good. And they were after the other, so I didn't have time to
sleep.
Yeah, to sleep or to recuperate. Yeah, well, I'm here. I'm still alive, so
yeah, that's
life
great.
Kicking.
Great, man.
Thanks. And you?
Yeah.
Well, I see you're a bit damaged
man.
on your head.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you and I think, what has he done now? Or is he?
Man.
Were you in a fight or something?
No. Yeah, it looks like I was in a fight, right? But no, I was with the kids to a playground in my neighborhood, and there was a swing, and just in front of the swing there was also a wooden beam, and I thought it was like the same thing, and so I walked to the swing, but my oldest son was on my left, and he brought a little girlfriend with him, and she was on the right. So I had to look at both the kids. So I was looking a bit on the right, and then I walked right into the wooden beam because it wasn't part of the swing, but it was, I think, a couple of meters before the swing. But in my vision, it was like the same. So bam, and
That's very hard.
Yeah. And you know what? I because I had a shitty night last night because my youngest was, again, it was dramatic, but I was already high in my stress levels, and then this happened. So I was just sitting down,
and then you're here.
I thought by myself, okay, I can scream now, I can yell now, I can cry now, and I decided to do just nothing. I thought, okay, this was it.
Great.
And and I did
just
nothing.
Just accept it, right? And then,
but it hurts a bit.
Sometimes a lot of things can go bad at the same time. And
it was very
and
hectic.
with children, How do you say that? I was one time on it's a cable with a thing you can hold on, right?
I know what you mean.
I know the Dutch word, of course, but a cable
Kabelbaan.
Kabelbaan. And I was I had my daughter on top of me in a carrying thing, you know, I went really fast, and I just did something wrong, or I was walking. I was running, I tripped and then fall. And if you're older and you fall, then it's a lot worse than when you were a child.
And it takes longer to recover, right?
Yeah.
So.
You're bleeding right now, so
but I think it's closing. So, but well, okay.
We have a big friend, right? This episode, really amazing because we're podcasters. So, who do we have?
We have Adam Curry. So
amazing.
He's obviously the Podfather and a fellow Dutchie, although he lives
also
now for a couple of years. He lives in the States, of course. But a very interesting guest. Obviously, he's developing podcasting 2.0. And again, he's the Podfather. So those two things combined, I think he's a great guest to have on the show, Edward. And to be honest, I'm a bit proud because when we started this, and we had amazing guests already. But Adam Curry was on the bucket list, and I think it's a magical combination, right? Because it's Lightning, Bitcoin, and being a creator and podcasting, and also the geeky stuff that podcasting, how it was in the early days, right? The internet was just new, and being able to record something and to listen to an episode of that's great. And he talked to Steve Jobs for more than an hour, face to face.
It's also
Steve Jobs
hard to grasp.
Is one of the greatest visionaries I can imagine. So man. So that's for the second part, Edward. But first, as always, we have to talk a little bit about the statistics of the Lightning Network and about our Rings of Fire community. And the second part will be with Adam.
Have fun. All right.
世界をつなぐ
So last week we had a little over 34.3 Bitcoin pushed into the Lightning Network, and this week it's 35.3. So we added 104 million sats. So now it's 2 weeks in a row that we added more than 1 Bitcoin into the Lightning Network. So crazy.
It's amazing number. I was going through the statistics, and there are more rings open than we have on this counter.
Yeah, man. With around 1,280 members participating in over 157 rings.
Going fast. And we're now at block height 740,614. And we all added 54 nodes more than last week. So we're now almost at 17,000 Lightning nodes. And added more than 50 Bitcoin. And we added, as a community, more than 1 Bitcoin. So, and now it's almost... stay humble, stack sats. 4,000 Bitcoin. So that's a lot. Well, 3,990. It's almost 4,000.
Crazy.
And there's an interesting thing, because these are the public nodes. There are also, of course, channels that are private. And in the news, we talk about it a little bit.
Okay, cool.
And the value of today's Stef?
1 million Satoshis is getting you $237, 226 euros, and 1,500, well, let's say 1,600 Chinese yuan.
We're going to skip this.
Connect the world.
The news of this week. Let's start with the Lightning Summit. Well, that was a couple of weeks ago, but it's still interesting because it was a Lightning Summit in Oakland, California, with Lightning developers and researchers. And they discussed for 3 days a number of matters related to the current state and evolution of the Lightning protocol, so on a protocol level. For example, they talked about simple taproot channels, gossips, sync with Minisketch. I thought Rusty Russell talked about that too. Blinded paths, L2, and much more. And I've added a link from the Lightning Dev mailing list, and it's interesting to check if what they have gathered there together. And then those private inbound channels, that was what I wanted to talk about. Zero fee routing offers inbound channels for example to your mobile wallet for a fee. And with the link in the show notes, you can open up a private inbound channel. And he tested it successfully with Breeze, Blix, and Simple Bitcoin Wallet. And the only thing you have to do is to add him as a peer after you pay the fee.
And what is the fee?
Interesting to check.
What's
the fee? He has it on GitHub. The calculation of the fee: 10 million channel, so 0.1 Bitcoin would cost 48,000 sets.
That's reasonable.
So it's a size, and then how do you say that? Square. 0.005 minus 2.0. Yeah, well, you can do the calculations, and it's interesting. I think it's nice that he's doing that.
Yeah.
And then probing private channels. I was going to talk about that a little bit because it's possible to use the Lightning Development Kit to probe and detect private channels, and that's new. Well, to my knowledge, public channels are visible at 1ml and emboss.space, for example, but private channels are not. So this is very interesting. There's a step-by-step plan on GitHub in the show notes to try it out yourself. And then a Setbox. I don't know if you saw the name one time, Stef. No, Setbox is a Lightning-powered YouTube, Twitch live stream platform, and I checked it today. It's a FOSS jukebox app that works in any bar and a global radio that lets users decide what to play next. So imagine a pay per minute for a live DJ or an artist. That's great, right?
Yeah, I saw. Because I a couple of weeks ago I digged into something similar from LM Bits. And they also did with cryptography. They did a DJ set where one can pay per track. It was, I think. And then you can get the download link of the track immediately or something like that. But it's interesting, especially.
Well, you being a former DJ and with the podcasting 2.0, what we talked about, I think it's interesting.
Yeah, I need to check it out because I haven't checked it out yet. So I will do it.
And Chad Welch from Setbox released version 2 with integration of LSATs from Lightning Labs. And they added some features like continue videos longer than 5 minutes and overall theme enhancements. And then another interesting thing, I don't know how to pronounce it, Geyser. It's a global crowdfunding platform. That helps Bitcoin builders and creators to fund their ideas. They really believe in the fact that if Bitcoiners come together, that's really something powerful when thinking of all the developments for the future. And if you like this platform, you can also contribute by opening a channel to them. That's also a nice way to help. And then Arcade City. Also something that we stumbled upon is the world's first and only peer-to-peer rideshare and delivery network owned and operated by its drivers. It's a scalable model of resilient community self-organization that they're now expanding globally. And on their website, you can read the case study they did before sharing this globally. And it's possible to connect with nearby service providers or consumers and get your payments in. So check it out. I've added 2 links, one of the Twitter announcement and one of the website.
Nice.
And then the last one was improving privacy Lightning Network gossip protocol. Shinobi wrote an interesting guest post on Bitcoin Magazine. Currently, the gossip protocol introduces privacy leaks and concerns that could be remedied while condensing the amount of messages sent. And at the end of the article, he asked himself the question, and I quote, shouldn't we be addressing the massive ways in which the protocol stack falls short in fulfilling those promises of privacy? I think we should, he said. And one big way to start is by improving the privacy of node operators who actually play the role of facilitating payments across the network in the first place. I've added it also to the show notes. And then updates. I have 3 interesting things, and I thought the first one. No, I'm going to do the second and third one, and then end with the first one because it's a long read. LND released a new release candidate, release candidate 4. 0.15, and then Lightning Development Kit added support for zero-conf channel opens. Check also the related information of Bolt 910 in the links in the show notes. And then Umbrel, Stef, version 0.5.
Mine was flawless. I can only say mine was flawless, but okay. I saw there were a bunch of guys with problems. So.
Yeah. Mine was also flawless. I saw all the discussions. I think first start with telling what was new and why are we talking about Umbrel, because a lot of our users use it. Of course, a lot of users also use Raspberry Blitz or Road to Node. There are a lot of or Citadel, a lot of possibilities, but Umbrel is broadly used. They released a new version, and they said, well, it's a brand new version, brand new look, redesign of the dashboard. Real-time app updates as soon as developers publish them on the App Store. App permissions. So if you use an app or install it, then it asks you to give permissions. If he needs to, needs more information of other apps, for example. And then two-factor authentication enabled for Umbrel. And then also when trying to access an app directly, so a third-party app, if you access it, it also asks for 2FA. And then Bitcoin and Lightning are now separate apps. And they added dark mode. It doesn't work at my installation, but maybe some other time. And a one-line command for installing on Ubuntu or Debian, because Raspberry Pis are very difficult to buy nowadays.
Get your hands on, yes.
Indeed. And I saw a lot of discussion in the Umbrel community group, of course, with people who had problems. And I think the problems, of course, are also due to some third-party installation of apps which you're using or scripts. We also use Balance of Satoshis. It didn't work.
That broke, by the way. Yeah, that broke.
Indeed. Yeah, and because, and that's what I saw later, the folders of the admin macaroon and what was it? The cert file of the certificates were changed to another directory, and it was the whole L&D directory changed. I think it's because they made it like a separate app. So you install Lightning app and then it's on a new place. Those things are inconvenient, of course. And well, I think with Lightning Shell also it didn't work. So yeah, those things are problematic, of course. And I don't know if you take it apart and look at Umbrel, then I think it's interesting that. If you look at a product, if the packaging is nice, and if you want to be able to appeal to the mainstream public, yeah, then you have to do more than only presenting a command line. Now it's interesting because we're all experimenting, and you need to know what it does and how it works. But in the future, I think it will be much more easier. So now everything breaks. Some people. It didn't break. So it's good to know that if you're updating, take care. make backups because it could break, or some things could break, and then ask for help. That's the only thing you can do. And there are alternatives. So use Umbrel or use another distribution. You're free. You can choose what. Indeed. And it's interesting to experiment with other installations. Oh, and Core Lightning, which also is a possibility to use now with Umbrel. I don't know. I would hesitate. I'm hesitant to try it out because I'm running on L&D. So if I choose to do that, I would choose to do that on a freshly new installed node. So be careful with that.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's enough said. Okay. Yeah.
Verbinden.
That's it.
Die Welt.
Okay, so let's have a look at the ring anecdotes. We balanced 2 rings last week. It was, not that busy. So it was a nice week. We balanced the 1 million Satoshi's 43rd ring. It was a nice battle between the gods of gossip and our ringleader, Hard Fork Cafe NL. Flo did an amazing job and got to checkmate pretty fast. Nicely done, and enjoy those nicely balanced channels. And then we had the 2 million Satoshi's 24th ring. Our Argentinian ringleader Barbara was well prepared and tried to build the Igniter script a couple of times before the real magic would take place. And when everything looked fine, we decided to balance the ring a couple of hours before the time we agreed on. Sorry, guys, because I really needed to get some sleep because I had a baby night, of course. We succeeded, and Barbara could celebrate his ignition with a nice cold cerveza. And this is a line for you, Edward. Bien
hecho, amigo.
Bien hecho, amigo. Okay. So that was it for this week. We had node operators from the USA, Holland, Germany, El Salvador, and all kinds of other countries.
Also El Salvador, nice.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So that was it for this week.
Let me put some makeup up because we have Adam Curry, of course. So I need to look fresh,
have to prepare.
Because otherwise he really thinks I was in a bar fight or something. So I need to put on some makeup, right?
All right. Good luck with that. Let's go to the lightning notes
Let's
then.
do that.
Verbind die wereld.
Make sure to secure your home network. So change default passwords and use 2-factor authentication where possible. And keep your software up to date. It's also very important. Please keep in mind that the whole Lightning network is very experimental. Software like MyNode, Umbrel, Raspberry Blitz, for example, and many others, and L&D also, are still in beta phase. Don't blindly run terminal commands on your node if you don't understand them yourself, and especially when prefixed with sudo. And the last one is also very important. Don't use Satoshis that you're not willing to lose. So if you're not aware of all security considerations, then read into it. Educate yourself, read articles, ask for help in Telegram groups with high reputation like ours, and listen to podcasts and learn by doing. Otherwise, don't participate.
Also, you can stay informed by following us on Twitter. You can find us at Satoshi Radio ROF. And follow our Lightning leader, Jonī Kyasshu. Join our Telegram groups, Satoshi Radio, Ring of Fire, and Connect the World. And check our website, satoshi.radio. It would be nice for you to be part of our Amboss community. You can find us there on Satoshi Radio. And like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Use Podcasting 2.0 to listen to Connect the World. And you can check SATA trading for the current value. You can find all this information, of course, also in the show notes as well.
All right, let's get on to the show.
Connect the World.
Welcome, Adam. Nice to meet you.
Welcome.
Hey, Stef and Edward, good to be here. That was very, very stressful. I have to say, I felt like a police interrogation there for a moment.
That's because you may only answer the questions by yes or no, right? So,
Well, I presume everybody knows that by now.
Yes, that's for sure. Hey, but
one time we had someone who said no clue because he didn't understand
it. That's not okay. He didn't play the game right. That's not good. I mean, I could have said that to a number of those questions, but I gave it to you. I mean,
and then
was Steve Jobs the most inspiring? I mean, I would have said he was the most impressive person I've ever met.
Yeah,
but absolutely inspiring. Yeah, inspiring too.
Yeah, but can you tell maybe, in a nutshell, how that conversation went? Because I I heard you talk about it in the What Bitcoin Did podcast. He reached out to you, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Eddie Q, who is now really high up in the Apple corporate structure. He was running, mainly ran the iTunes product at the time with the iPod. And he reached out to me and said, Steve would like to meet with you. Do you have any time? And I'm like, no, let me see. Let me check my calendar. Oh, yes, of course. Yes, I do have some time. And it was at the All Things D conference in San Diego. I really didn't know what to expect. I knew it was about, I presumed it was about podcasting, but I really didn't know at all what was going to happen. And so Eddie met me and then took me to this. It was kind of like, it's a big conference. So it was like, imagine, the Rolling Stones backstage dressing room. They kind of had that all set up for themselves. And it's met Steve, and he was really, oh my God, Adam, so nice to meet you. The first things I noticed were his lisp. He had a very slight lisp when he spoke, which I'd never heard before. But I mean, that maybe he was not on stage. He has that, and he was very, very pissed off about stuff. He was yelling and saying to Eddie, like, "Fuck these guys," because he wanted to have the iPod Touch be kind of the iPhone. He never wanted, or the iPhone to be like the iPod Touch. He never wanted the cell network in there. So he always yelling, these motherfuckers, they fucked up Wi-Fi. Now we can't do this. And blah, blah, blah. I didn't even know that it was about the iPhone really at the time. I kind of put that together later because we only had the iPod. So I thought the iPod Touch. Maybe it was at that conference they announced that they were releasing with AT&T. I'm not sure. But I did think, dude, you got to calm down. That's not good for your blood pressure, or I'm sure it can make you sick in many ways. And he was really, this is the Steve Jobs that not everyone gets to meet, but I did, and it's the one who wanted something from me. And he was extreme. He's like, like taking me to the prom. He's just kissing up and be making really nice and complimentary, and I loved every minute of it. And he was telling me some, we've been watching you with what you're doing with podcasting. And what was interesting, they found out about it. Well, here's the story that I was told by Eddie, is I was using to store so I was doing the daily source code, which is really just a podcast for the developers so that they could start developing apps, which at the time were computer programs, applications to run on Mac and Windows. So you could, have your basic podcast subscription and organization type application. And so I would be talking about those developments, and I stored my RSS feed and my MP3 files on my Mac drive, as it was now known back in the day. It was basically just a mounted share, and that was what is today iCloud. But it was never really intended to be serving up MP3 files. And Apple noticed that there was this, a lot of bandwidth for the time. Of course, we're talking about 2003, I guess, 2004. It was, they were like, hey, what's going on here? And apparently Steve Jobs had said, no, let's just watch what he's doing. Let him go. Give him all the bandwidth he needs. So I think there was, that was kind of a cool bit to connect all those dots. And he was asking me about production. Actually, he asked Eddie Q to leave. We spoke privately, which was like, oh, okay. And what's going to happen now? He wants to make up with
me. Closing the door.
But since Eddie Q was involved in iTunes, Eddie Q said, hey, as Steve said, what software do you use to record? I said, well, currently I use Audio Hijack Pro because I can kind of create a processing chain, and I can record stuff direct from Core Audio, which I'm really happy about. And then Eddie says, yeah, the RIAA, the Recording Industry Association of America, the music cops, they want us to disable that because that's how people are ripping off music that's playing on their computer. And Steve looked at me and said, do you need this? I said, yeah, right now it's the only way we can really do it. He said, tell them to go fuck themselves. I'm like, okay, boom, I got another one. Now, it's like, now we're happening. And then he said, hey, Adam, I really want to put podcasting into iTunes, make it work on the iPod. Are you okay with that? I'm like, yeah, of course.
Of course, man, Steve.
I gave an error on my part, but I didn't really realize that at the time, is by giving iTunes our directory, we had iPodder.org, was a distributed open directory, maybe 5,000 or 6,000 podcasts in it at the time. We kind of made Apple the de facto on-ramp for podcasting.
Yeah.
Which Dave Weiner understood that and was really unhappy about it. I didn't understand what that meant. I really just didn't understand the centralized Silicon Valley mentality. That said, Apple was an incredible steward of podcasting for over a decade, really handled it well. They left their API open, partially to let their own application work, but anyone else who was using it to build a podcast app, they allowed that no charge, which of course also meant no service, no support. And, when we get to talking about podcasting 2.0, there was some changes within Apple and what they were doing with their iTunes, their podcast database that spurred me to stop that shit. But it was that meeting with Jobs was really cool, and I remember sending him an email thanking him, which of course I made sure it was my Mac account, AdamCurry@mac.com. I wasn't going to send it from Adam@curry.com or anything. To sjobs@apple. And he replied, and he also set me up with Kleiner Perkins and Sequoia Capital and made an introduction to these big Silicon Valley venture capital firms so that I could then go on to raise money and start a company which did not return anything for the investors, but at least I learned what the future of media would be, and it's not necessarily interruptive advertising based.
Yeah, great, man. Great story. And yeah, I'm a big fan of Apple. I think I own basically every product they made. And so yeah, Steve Jobs is a real visionary. And I read this book and yeah, he seems like a nice guy, but also someone who is able to yell at you when he needs to, right? And that's what you already told us.
Yeah, well, lucky I never got that end of Steve, so I'm quite happy.
Lucky for you.
I can only imagine.
Hey, cool, man. Adam, yeah, we really want to talk with you about podcasting 2.0, of course, but also about your vision on the Lightning Network. But we have to do this in the part that we call the 21 minutes.
All right.
So yeah, if you are ready, Adam, and of course Edward, if you are also ready, then we would like to enter that part. Are you guys ready?
Ready, sir.
Yes.
Cool.
Let's do it.
Connect the world.
Start with the first one. During the first COVID lockdown, you experiment with running your own node. Well, 3 nodes I heard. What software distribution did you use?
Well, the first node, you're absolutely correct. 2 things happened during the lockdown. One of them was I had enough time to really get my head around Bitcoin, and the price, of course, was dipping below 4,000. And I said to my wife, I'm not making the mistake I made, 5-6 years ago by selling all my Bitcoin at a stupid price and not even thinking about it. So we're getting back in. She's like, let's get back in. But while I was going through that journey, it was actually Dennis Parker. He's Dutch, I think. You guys might know Dennis Parker. He's on Twitter all the time. He's my Bitcoin guru. He said, because I was looking at just different forms of programmable aspects of money. And he said, oh, you should take a look at the Lightning Network. And so I dove into it. And pretty quickly I wound up at Raspberry Blitz. And I'm like, okay, I need one of these. So I did not assemble it. I did order one pre-assembled. So, of course, that would be a security risk right there. But what the hell? And just started messing around with it and understanding what it was. And we had purchased Bitcoins. I said, okay, this is let's put some on the node, and experimented with how routing worked, and then from there started to meet all kinds of people. And pretty quickly, I saw the capability of what I call not just programmable money, but is money you can broadcast. I mean, I'm a broadcaster, so when I saw the key send feature, which may change in Bolt 12 and all that, but I saw the key send feature. I'm like, I can literally broadcast money back to someone who's broadcasting entertainment to me at the same time. And from there, Eureka. I just dove deep into it and just started learning.
Cool. And yeah, so you put all those, you put a couple of sets on your node. But how's the Bitcoin and Lightning adoption in your neighborhood where you live in Texas, USA? Did you already pay at some merchants or?
Well, I met a guy recently named Texas Slim, and so I'm working with guys your age, basically, I would say, millennials, on building out lightning capability and podcasting 2.0. And I'm really doing it because it's necessary. I feel a little guilty about how we fucked the world for you guys by not paying attention to the idiots who were running the show. Also, the social contract was broken with you. You went through 9/11, you went through, the wrong country, we attacked the wrong country, and then we had financial crisis, and then don't worry about it. And then, of course, you wind up at the end of the road, and the inflation is out of control. It's very hard for you to get ahead. It's even hard to purchase a home, so you've gotten screwed. And so Texas Slim comes out of the Panhandle, north in Texas, and he's a rancher. He's a he was a rodeo guy for a long time. And after he broke his 16th bone, he said, okay, I got to do something else. And he decided to connect ranchers with, and really the proof of work of Texas beef, which, goes right back to the grass and the seed that they're fed with, and start educating people about animal protein and setting up a network. So now we buy direct. I buy direct from KNC Cattle. They're closer to Austin. I do it through. In fact, I just did it online and just paid in Bitcoin right over the Lightning Network. And the whole beauty of it is, it's Bitcoin. Lightning Network is a subset of this, but it's Bitcoin that connects everybody. So we're onboarding Bitcoiners into ranching and beef and animal-based protein, and we're onboarding ranchers into Bitcoin. So we're connecting these two, and when you understand Bitcoin, you have an automatic contract and trust with each other. So it makes you part of a group. It's just something that is a commonality, and you already know a little bit about someone if you're doing a Bitcoin transaction. So yes, that is the first real world for me functioning all the time. And it's not just like a steak, right? I buy a quarter of a cow, and the payment is just boom, right with Lightning, and we're good to go.
Yeah. And because we are building all those rings of fire with lightning nodes in our community, and we aim to make the connections with peers from everywhere in the world, and we chat together, we learn together about the Lightning Network, and we share liquidity with each other. But how is it possible that you think it's almost the same as those ranchers? How is it possible you think that the strength of Bitcoin and Lightning also makes it a real social connection for people?
Well, it's funny you say that, because Texas Slim, and this is just one example, but it's one that I can point to. So if you go to beefinitiative.com, Texas Slim it starts, I think, Wednesday, Texas to Tennessee, and he's driving in his truck. He'll be sleeping in the truck. It's the Great American Road Trip. I mean, this is Jack Kerouac. This is this kind of style, and he'll be filming, doing video diary along the way. But everywhere he stops, he'll be doing a meetup, and he'll be barn raising. So we'll be creating a node. That stop, someone's going to put up a node and create channels and liquidity to the other nodes. Next stop, another node. So it's just going to be building. So he's physically going to all these different towns from Texas to Tennessee, and he's calling it a barn raising. Now, if you know what a barn raising is, it's like, when the whole town comes out to help put the barn up, and everyone helps each other's barn. So we have all these analogies, and proof of work he is the example of proof of work. And you can go out, you can meet him, you can learn about animal protein, particularly beef. And really, the flip side, unfortunately, is he gives a lot of education about what we are eating today, which barely resembles food.
Mm. And Adam, in 2004, you started with the podcast, The Daily Source Code, to gain traction in development of podcasting. And you were the first to use the combination of RSS scripting and audio content. You were actually testing all this in the field. And when I compare this to the Lightning space, I feel the same. We also feel we're building and testing something with great potential, and outside a lab together with a huge dedicated community. How important is that for growing the growth of Lightning?
No, you nailed it. It's and this is why I love the combination of the Lightning Network, also Bitcoin, but the Lightning Network with podcasting. because and it's the same way we built podcasting 1.0. You know, it was all these dumb things you don't think about, like, okay, so if you subscribe to a podcast, certainly back in 2003, 2004, it's not a good idea to automatically start downloading every single podcast in that feed. You know, because people are still on dial-up lines, and now all of a sudden you're downloading 100 megabytes of MP3 files. So these little dumb things to sometimes just beautiful suggestions from users. At Podcasting 2.0, particularly when it comes to the Lightning network integration, which, I mean, there's some amazingly creative stuff going on. We have a slogan. So the way we do it, because yes, we do it, it's all live, it's all straight to production. It's called running with scissors. And that's what we do. And sometimes, you know, we're running around with scissors. Someone falls. Oh, crap, cut myself. You know, something blew up. We get up. We keep on going. That's exactly what it. And it's really beautiful to see. You know, there was an article which was well intended that said, you know, hey, if you're new to running a node, here's what you need to do because you're not doing it right. That's the way I felt about it. You know, it's like, don't do this and don't rebalance and don't. You know, that's big. You know, everyone has an opinion. But that's what's so cool about the Lightning Network is everyone can kind of do their own thing. You know, it's like, and if someone doesn't like it, they can route around you or do whatever. It's very analogous to the early days of the internet. I had friends who started Euronet, later sold to France Telecom, and I learned a lot about BGP and routing and peering. And the peering part in the network topology, to this day in general, although the players has been gotten so big that it's a little different now. So you needed to interconnect your network to a different backbone or a different network. And the way you did it is, well, how much traffic are you going to send my way? And let's kind of make sure that I send the same amount of traffic back your way. So that's peering. That's completely analogous to a Lightning channel. The only thing was those contracts were without money. It was, hey, man, you know, we'll peer up to this point, then you have to buy transit somewhere else. And the smaller players often had to pool together to create their own interconnections to have more to offer to interconnect to the bigger players. But this is the same thing we're doing now, except it's with money, which makes it great because now you can make some real sound decisions. It's much better, even better. And, you know, especially with fees and everything, it's beautiful.
Yeah. And last episode, we had Graham Gritzik from Voltage as a guest. You guys met.
I know Graham very well. He never sleeps. I say, Graham, never sleep.
And in the Twitter space, he talked about how powerful it would be if Joe Rogan would officially offer Podcasting 2.0. But what is needed to persuade him?
We don't need to persuade Joe. We need Joe right now to have me on for a 5th time so I can keep orange pilling him.
It just takes time, right?
Yeah, I mean that just takes time. He's a lot further along than people know, but Joe is Joe, and Joe is going to do what he's going to do. Part of Podcasting 2.0 was set up to allow for the next Joe to do it outside of Spotify. So it wasn't just, you know, it's like not just did we see a total disappearance really of the #1 podcast from all these apps, because once it was gone to Spotify, you know, every app had Joe Rogan front and center, like, oh yeah, you can listen to Joe Rogan here. Of course, none of these apps ever were in the deal flow. No podcast app got any money from Spotify when they got Joe Rogan. No advertising money goes to them. So part of the whole concept was, when we set it up, everybody in the ecosystem who participates in the facilitation of the MP3 or video, whatever it is, of the entertainment data going one way and the payment data going the other way, should be able to get a little piece of that.
It's totally different now.
That stimulates eventually. We're still small, but eventually you have enough. We have 15 apps now. There's going to be enough competition that, I'd call it competition, or market forces maybe is a better word. That people are going to see people pushed up. We're seeing leaderboards start to appear of how much a certain podcaster get. These are all things that work in the psyche, and we'll have big winners coming out. People who really, really succeed and really thrive. So for me, podcasting is a slow grower. It takes a long time, but it has these these S curves and these spurts when, podcasting was just really not even bubbling under when it blew up because of the podcast serial. And, and it came at a beautiful moment when people were binging Netflix and all of a sudden here was an old ritual that came back. You can't have the next episode by watching. You have to wait until next week. And it was a great category, which was true crime. So this really got people excited, and that's why that blew up. So you're going to see all these kinds of things happening. We had the Joe Rogan multi-$100 deal. So now we're still seeing, big deals here and there of some of the more traditional talent as well, and some podcast talent. Podcasting, in media in general, I don't think we're going to see many more of the super rich superstars that are just the number one all over the world all the time and who do everything. It's all these little communities that are self-sustaining. It's like you guys. It's like no agenda, So we have maybe 1.4 people who listen to the show, and a small percentage of that supports it, at least financially, but people support it in many other ways. And I'm content. I'm happy. I
Let's
don't
make
expect
a real
to
nice
be popular and number one with every group. It's not going to work, and it doesn't matter anymore. I don't have to be mass anymore. This is big enough. It's actually too big almost.
that makes it for us amazing to do. In 2003, Radiohead released their final album for EMI, and in 2007 they self-released this album, and I've got it here. I bought it, but only for the artwork, of course. But they allowed everyone to pick their own price, and that was really groundbreaking for the time. An early value for value model, and the only problem was the $1 that you need to use for credit card processing. And why is it so important to remove that middleman, that intermediate that processes the transactions?
For me, it comes down to freedom, and freedom always requires an extra step, and there's no help desk. So these are the things that are removed in a custodial type situation, and that's exactly what processing fees are. So if you look at recent events in Canada with the trucker convoy, agree with that or not, for the government to just say, oh no, we're just going to stop that payment and we're going to block your bank account, and I'm going to throw you in jail for it too. These are things that's unheard of. If we should be able to collect money and do whatever we want. And, if it was just paper money, it might not have been such an issue, but the logistics are impossible. For sovereignty, it's sad because, we shouldn't need to do it, but also, these people are predators. They want to get you into loans that are unfavorable. They really rip you off all the time. And quite honestly, the Lightning Network, of course, has many middlemen, but they don't have any control. They don't even know the origin or the destination. It's all layers of the onion that each step is aware of, and that's really good, I think. So middlemen are, in a way, are necessary, as with the Lightning Network, but we're just dumb guys with a contract. We're not, we can't see, hear, or smell. We just I agree, I pass it on because I made the contract, and if I break the contract, then all bets are off. I get whatever's mine is mine, and you get what's yours is yours. These are beautiful systems that will grow and build, and it becomes more, as you pointed out, more of a community. Certainly now in these early phases where, now I need a 10 million sat channel with someone, because, and so, but then when someone new comes on and they're successful, we're going to help them by providing liquidity to them that is more than they might be able to purchase or get. So it does become the whole concept of peering and building channels is also a value for value network in itself.
Yeah, and next to value for value,
it's never going to happen.
No.
What do you think about a pay-per-use model for articles, for example?
Well, there's nothing wrong with it. My experience is you'll just make more money with value for value. if you provide value. If you don't provide value, you're not going to do that great. If you provide value and ask for tips, guess what? You're going to get 20%, maybe less, of what you would get if you ask people to send you the value that they think it is. I mean, this is the problem with intangible products. This podcast may be incredibly valuable for a number of people, and some may go, shit, I'm not interested in this. So, you can't ask someone to, I find it hard. The subscription model is very hard. It's if you have a very big audience, and No Agenda could technically do this, but again, you have charges, you have chargebacks. There's all kinds of financial stuff that makes it complicated, and someone with one click of a button can turn off your entire system. Your money, no more. You're done. Yeah. I mean, we've never relied on one system. For No Agenda, we'll also take cash, we'll take bank transfer, ACH, we'll take Venmo, we'll take PayPal, we'll take Cash App, we'll take gold. We'll take it all, and pretty soon, hopefully, we'll take Bitcoin, which has been a contentious issue just based upon taxation in the United States. But of course, I accept Bitcoin over Lightning for every other podcast I do.
Yeah, and with our Connect the World podcast, we are proud that we also are giving a true value for podcasting 2.0. And you once said it's an old paradigm that think that having a number one rating is the most important to be the very best. And now there is a new podcasting platform, Podimo, that just raised $78 million from venture capital, and they use market penetration as their main strategy with the podcasting within the podcasting landscape. And this is obviously not a very positive development, but what's your take on that?
Now, these are the guys that basically will pay you $1 per person up to 1,000 or whatever, but they have to join their ecosystem. Mm-hmm. Then you're a pimp if you do that. You're just pimping out your audience. That's horrible.
You also once said, then you're no podcast, right? If it's just like that, I don't know.
Well, no, I mean, what is it? What is a podcast, and what is a podcaster?
Freedom of speech, right?
It's pretty loose terms. I believe in complete freedom of speech. I just don't see how that platform. I just don't see how it can wind up being any good. I mean, there's this. First of all, there's this in the financial world and the technology world. There has always been this big idea that, hey man, this is going to be the biggest thing. We can harness this podcast network. We can own it. These podcasters will work for money. They'll take money from us. I would say 90% of all podcasts have no financial goal in mind whatsoever, at all. There's people just do it for their community or for their club or something else they're doing. It's not at all to, I'm going to do a show and this is going to be my income from here on out. That's not what most people set out to do when they do podcasting. And I can hear the clock. Sounds like I'm running out of time.
No, but Edward, maybe you can ask Adam a final question.
Well, I was thinking about having a community is very important for content creators. And the No Agenda community runs on a Mastodon server, which uses open web protocols and open source software and is decentralized. If you think about Twitter and other social media platforms, what's your main difference, would you think, between them and Mastodon?
Well, Mastodon being part of the Fediverse, the federated network of Mastodons, I like that model a lot. And of course, it's because it's decentralized. It's very difficult to get everyone to use an independent app or something that will connect to a completely 100% at the user basis decentralized network. I believe myself, it's a lot better for a family to have one. Or for a friend, couple of kids in the neighborhood, you can kind of pool resources for cost. But then you can really build it, you can customize it, and you can interact with, and also determine what you want to interact with out on the Fediverse. I believe in that model. It's very similar to the podcast model. This is how people overlap. It's these tribes. So I go on Joe Rogan, then Rogan people already have an overlap with No Agenda. People start to communicate with each other in all kinds of ways. Then, that goes to Tom Woods' podcast, and all these people, the audiences start to connect to each other in ways that is just completely organic. Mastodon and and every version, it's not just Mastodon, but Pleroma, all these different versions that use a pub sub, basically, Activity Pub. If you're using that, you can connect to it any way you want. We are doing it now in Podcasting 2.0 for comments that work on every app. So if I make a comment in one app, it will show up in every other app. This has never been done before. It can work through Activity Pub. So clearly, that's the way to go. Elon Musk wants to turn Twitter into WeChat, and he wants to control your social interactions. He wants to control your money. He will report to you your carbon credit, and he will also take care of your social credit score. Kid's no good. No good.
Let's ask him that, right?
What a way to, I wanted to say, what a way to end this 21 minutes part, Adam.
We had a lot of questions more, Stef, but we didn't. We couldn't ask them all, but perhaps some other time, Adam, that would be.
I would love to. I'm sorry,
really
I'm a little.
No, it doesn't matter.
But I will say,
amazing.
I love what you guys do. You totally get it. You get the community aspect, and I can totally see
that's so important.
You guys connecting with the Beef Initiative and with all these ranchers. I mean, these are great networks to create, and it's a really interesting way you are building community around with that. So.
Thanks, Adam.
No, thank you.
Really.
It's really cool you're doing that.
Yeah, thanks for the nice words.
Connect o mundo.
And we still have one question left, Adam. Actually, it was from Graham. We had him on the show last week. Obviously, again, Graham for Voltage. You guys know each other. We asked Graham to come up with a question for you. So Edward will play the audio file now, and then you may answer it.
Yeah, sure. Hey, Adam. Congrats on everything that you've been doing on Podcast Index. So what I would love to hear Adam answer is, what do we need to do to make Bitcoin and Lightning be used by billions of people? I think that Adam has started getting us there, but I'm very curious what it is that we need to take it to the next step and get billions of people on board.
Well, it's the onboarding. And I would say a couple things are happening now that are good. One is we need to have non-custodial wallets that also work on mobile with KeySend. I know Graham is working on that. It'll be self custody, I guess is the word we use today. It'll be self custody on your wallet. But there will be a function in the cloud. Voltage is providing that. Breeze is working on that. That's what Project Greenlight is about, I believe. So this is very important because that way we'll be able to, quote unquote, spin up a wallet as easy as a Gmail account. So anyone can just say, I need a wallet. Any developer can say, I need a wallet. Any developer can say, connect your wallet. These things are happening. I'm seeing this in the next 6 months. So that's going to be great. And this is a trick question because Graham knows that he wants me to advertise how good he is. And I'm happy to do it because that's exactly what Voltage is doing. The second part is, I guess, kind of, I read, I think OpenNode is working now with, I forget who, maybe MasterCard, to be able to get, we need translations, right? We need to easily get fiat into Lightning. Now Breeze has an interesting model where you buy it and they open channels for you. And that's all going to get improved. But these are the types of things we need, that onboarding, and it's already getting very complicated because we're seeing that companies no longer accept credit cards for purchase of any cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin. Debit cards are inherently sometimes a problem for that. So there are just a number of issues in the actual onboarding. So maybe with that, we also need to promote a little bit more mining. I mean, I have 2 S9s that are running in our little engine room here, heating up the engine room. It'll be great in the winter. Right now, it's a little warm in Texas, but and so we're doing the S9. So we do have cheap power out here. But even if I was losing money on it, I'd still do it. I'd hook it up to slush pool. My wife owns one. I own one. It's John Henry and Rosie the Riveter. They compete even though they work together. And we're always happy when we get that payout every week or so. Oh, it's another 100,000 sats. So
nice.
That kind of but that takes a little more time. I've started a podcast with my wife. It's called Curry and the Keeper, and I'm very proud of this. And first of all, because I knew she would be a great podcaster, and she is. And I knew it would be fun to listen to a married couple who are really truthful. And the biggest problem we have is people desperately want to support us. And we say only podcasting 2.0, only Satoshis. And it's heartbreaking to see how hard these people work to try and get sats, and can I do it with Cash App? Well, yeah, you can do it with Cash App. All these things are just it's heartwarming and breaking at the same time about how so many people really, really struggle with it. So we do need more education, and it's going to have to come from us because it's not going to come from the fiat fun factory.
Well, I just wanted to say that's our work, right? That's our mission.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Great.
Indeed. Well, Adam, next time we have a new guest. His name is Sergey Tikhomorov, and he's a researcher of security and privacy of Bitcoin with a focus on the Lightning Network. Can we ask him a question of you?
Yeah, I'd like to know something because people are always talking about it. And although I'm perfectly okay with complete transparency with all my blockchain-based activities, is it true that I am much more anonymous making a transaction over the Lightning Network than I am versus an on-chain payment? And the reason I ask that is because if I'm using the Lightning Network, is it traceable all the way back to where I got the original on-chain Bitcoin, I guess is my question. And is it traceable from both ends with the way the Lightning Network functions? So, Sergey, I hope you understand what I'm asking here. It's just, it's one of those things that people are always asking me. I really don't care one way or the other because I'm proud of the support I give to retailers and merchants.
Indeed.
But it is interesting to know to be able to answer the question. So I look forward to your answer.
We will ask him, that's for sure.
Соединим этот мир.
Excellent.
Well, Adam, again, thanks for being in the show. And perhaps some other time.
I think we have 19 questions left. So have me back on. We'll answer those too.
Indeed.
And we will come up with a couple of more, Adam. So I think we can do a whole series.
All right. Well, maybe we can do a double episode so we can get it all in there. I'm happy to.
A special.
Part 1 and part 2, yeah.
Hey, Adam, where can people follow you? Can you maybe share your website or your Twitter? Or
the most important place to be?
Podcastindex.org is where all of the work is taking place. There's a couple links up there, but you can find me on Twitter at Adam Curry. But really, Mastodon is the way I prefer to interact with you. So you can follow me. It's Adam at podcastindex.social. So follow me there, and you'll also hear a lot of the Lightning and the Podcasting 2.0 conversation.
Cool.
Great.
Nice.
Well, thanks again. And thanks for listening. And thanks to all members participating in Satoshi Radio Rings of Fire. And of course, thanks to everyone helping us to connect the world. And if you like our content, please support us in our mission. Visit our website, connecttheworld.live, where you can donate and subscribe, like, and share our content on your favorite platform or Podcasting 2.0, of course. We need you to complete our mission, connect the world. So keep those nodes running, sats flowing, and rings burning, and mining, of course. See you all next week with Sergey on this same Lightning channel. Tot ziens, Adam.
So long!